Hey everyone, I want to give a special shout out to a viewer who reached out to me, and we talked on the telephone, and I'm not going to say the viewer's name. I did get permission to share this information, but I just want to let you guys know that it blesses my soul and my heart when I find out that something that I said was a blessing to you, and it helped you in some format. Many of you might not know this, but I've learned to be very, very obedient to God, and when he stops me in the middle of whatever it is I'm doing to help you, I just stop and I go and I do exactly what God instructs me to do. I don't always know who the information is directed to, but God knows. And again, this is part of my nursing training of saving lives. I know that what I'm doing for God is very important and is connected to people's lives. So I just want to say thank you to that viewer who reached out to me to tell me how the messages and how my ministry for the Lord Jesus Christ has blessed you, because you bless me when I hear praise reports on what God is doing. This particular person shares some additional information with me too, and I like to learn. I like to grow. And this person told me about Ella leaf, ELLA leaf, and how it's very good and helpful for people who've been diagnosed with sickle cell. It removes the pain. So I told this person that I would do some research on it to see if I could find it somewhere, just to bring it in my house, just to bless the body. Because a lot of times herbs do more than just one thing, and I did some research already and I couldn't find it, so I had to figure out if it has another name here in the Michigan region. But maybe I have to, look for it in another region to see if I could find it. But I'm definitely going to find it, and because I don't take new information lightly, because God is always sharing and growing us and giving us new information. And then this viewer told me about her grandfather, who lived to be 90 years of age, who drank a pitcher of garlic water every day. And in a previous video, I shared that, garlic is 10 times stronger than penicillin. It prevents parasites from forming and growing in the body, gets rid of bacteria, viruses, and plagues, thins the blood so that blood clots will not form, preventing strokes and a heart attack. I mean, garlic is just an all-around beautiful herb. And in Ezekiel 47:12, God talks about how there's healing in the leaves of herbs. And the wise men brought frankincense and myrrh to baby Jesus for more reason than what we've been taught from the churches. Herbs have medicinal purposes. So just want to share that with you. And she said the viewer said the grandfather got a pitcher of pure water, put a garlic clove inside of the water, put it in the refrigerator overnight, and drank on that garlic water throughout the day. I thought that was amazing. What I'll probably do is take a garlic clove and just take a hammer and just crush it, because that's when all of the healing properties are released. And then place it in some distilled water, and in my water pitcher, let it sit overnight and just marinate in the distilled water and sip on it throughout the day. I thought that was a great way to get natural garlic inside of the body that was mixed in with water. Of course, gotta wash the garlic breath and all of that. But there's foods that we can eat and we can brush our teeth or whatever. But I thought that was amazing that the grandfather lived to be 90 years of age and was in excellent health. And I'm telling you, God is always about sharing knowledge. And then what I also want to share with everybody is that, I remember years ago, maybe 40 years ago, maybe 35 years ago, 35, 40 years ago, I'm just kind of guesstimating. I remember sitting in church and I heard a man being very sorrowful about not obeying God and how somebody died and possibly went to Hades because this particular gentleman didn't get up and obey God. And I remember the gentleman saying to the church, when God tells you to stop what you're doing, to get up and go do something, to get up and go do it right then. Well, I remember because the guy was grieving because he thought he had blood on his hands because somebody passed away and he didn't witness the Lord Jesus to him before they passed away, and God specifically asked him to get up and go witness the Lord Jesus to him, and they just were disobedient. They didn't obey God, and disobedience is a sin of witchcraft. You didn't do the witchcraft, but it's the sin of it. So you never want to walk in disobedience with the Lord. It's just not a good thing, and you don't want to have blood on your hands because you did not witness salvation to somebody who was going to possibly spend eternity in hell being tortured. So I remember that message. And some years have went by, and I was in the house with my children. My husband was at work. I was married at the time. I was in the middle of cooking dinner, and God said, I want you to stop what you're doing, go across the street and witness salvation to your neighbor. I said, oh, okay. So I turned the stove off, put my food to the side, went across the street, witnessed salvation to a new neighbor. She just moved in with her sister. She was really, really young, and she's like in her 20s. I didn't know her. I introduced myself. I told her who I was. I told her I was a Christian, and that I invited her to go to church with me. And she turned me down. She said she wasn't interested in going to church with me. And then, we were nice and pleasant to each other. Then I went home. I did what God told me to do. I did what he said to do. Well, a couple of days later, this same young woman was rushed to the hospital. I had no idea that she was even sick. Come to find out, this young woman had an autoimmune disorder, and it really, really bothered me and concerned me because I knew what God had just said. He asked me to go and witness salvation to her, and she turned him down. So she was in the hospital for a while. She was released, came back home, and again, in the middle of cooking dinner, God said, stop what you're doing, go across the street and witness salvation again. But this time, I said to the young lady, I said, I've been praying for you, found out you were in the hospital. You don't have to come to I want to invite you to church, but you don't have to come to church because I know you're healing. I said, I just want to introduce you to the Lord Jesus Christ. You can accept the Lord right here in the house. And, because Jesus is your healer and you want salvation. She turned me down for the second time. And I did what God told me to do. I blessed her, and then I went home. Y'all, next thing I know, that girl was back in the hospital again. I felt so horrified because by this time, God got me all involved with this young woman. And I remember going to the hospital to go see her and to ask God to give her another chance, But y'all, that girl died. She died. When I went to go see her in the hospital, she was already in a coma. She died. And then when I got home, I was feeling really, really, my spirit was grieved. I was grieving in my spirit. And God, this is what he said to me. He said, let the dead bury the dead. That snapped me right out of that grief. And he said, I gave her 2 opportunities through you to give her heart to me. she rejected me. I said, whew. I let it go. I went on about my business. But this is a reason why I'm obedient, okay? When God tell me get up and do something, I get up and I go do what God said to do, because you don't never know how long somebody has. I never knew that girl was that sick, and this was before I became a nurse. I didn't know that her time on this earth would be short. I didn't know any of that. But God knew. And so when God tell you something, get up and do it. If God tell you stop having sex outside the marriage, stop doing it. Because you don't know when your number's up. If God tell you not to do something, not to go to somebody's house, don't go to somebody else's house. Don't go to that person's house, because you don't know what's there waiting on you. If God tell you not to drive down a certain street, don't drive down that street, because you don't know what's down there waiting on you. Whatever it is that God is telling you not to do, don't do it. Because you don't know when your time is going to be up. And then if God asks you to get up and go do something, go help somebody, you stop what you're doing. I don't care if you're in the middle. The dinner could wait, because I can always come back and cook dinner for my husband. God said this is important. This is salvation. You turn your stove off, Miss Banks. Feed your family when you get back in the house, because right now I'm concerned about somebody's soul salvation and where they're going to spend eternity. That's more important than filling up my family's belly, because I can always go back home and finish the meal. So I just wanted to share that with you, because God put it on my heart to share that with you. Yes, we must walk in obedience, because you just never know what's on the other side of that obedience. You don't know if people don't have a long time to be here or not. I remember one of my neighbors' grandson was always in trouble with the law. She used to ask one of my sons to talk to her grandson to try to straighten him out and all of that. That boy, her grandson just didn't want to listen. He was just hard-headed. He was just bent on just doing stuff the wrong way. Well, the young man ended up going to prison. He was in prison for some years. And I remember one day receiving a knock at my door, and I looked out the window. I saw who it was. I was almost in shock, because I was like, oh, he must have just got out of prison. So I opened the door, and he just reached and grabbed me and hugged on me and loved on me, and I loved on him back. And I said, you know, your grandmother I said, before she passed away, she was just so concerned about you, and you know, she loved you so much. And he said, yeah, I know. And so we sat outside on the porch, and he wanted to know everything. He wanted to catch up on what was going on in my life. So I told him everything, and I found out it was an opportunity for me to witness the Lord Jesus. I just told him, I said, hey, I'm serving the Lord. I'm serving the Lord in ministry. I'm serving the Lord in writing books. I'm doing conferences now for the Lord. You know, I'm just serving God however he wants me to serve him. And he wanted to know how all my children were doing. So I got him all caught up with how my children were doing. And he said, can you give me your oldest son's number? I said, I sure will. And I called my oldest son and told him. I was like, guess who just stopped by the house? We had a great time. We loved on each other. Y'all, it wasn't a full week later, that boy was murdered and he died. That shook me. Do you hear me? That just shook me. Because I'm realizing when things like that happen and people just pop up out of nowhere, that is an opportunity to witness the Lord Jesus Christ, because you don't know how much time they have left. You don't know. You don't know, because God never told me that. He hid that from me. I only know what God tells me. He hid that from me. But the young man wanted to know what I was doing, how I was doing, and I honestly told him what I was doing for the Lord. I was witnessing to him. I was telling him about the Lord Jesus Christ and how I serve him. When I found out that young man died, y'all, that shook me. That shook me. And I make it a point to, whenever I'm around people, because I never know if I'm going to see them again, I witness the Lord Jesus Christ to them. I let them know something about the Lord. So listen, this is Lois Banks coming to you from the Lois Banks Ministry. You have to be obedient. You have to be obedient. So I just wanted, again, make sure that I shared this information that I got from one of my viewers about ella leaf and about the garlic water. You know, if you're on a blood thinner, you know you got to be careful with garlic. You got to get permission from your doctor. Even when you take herbs, you got to get permission, because herbs might interact with medications that you're on. But I wanted to share this with someone who might be diagnosed with sickle cell, that ella leaf is a natural herb that is used in the South a lot, and that is picked from a tree, and you rinse it off and you boil it, and then you could drink it to remove pain. That's what my viewer was telling me that a member in her family used to do for someone in her family, you know, who was diagnosed with sickle cell. So I just want to be a blessing to everybody, and to let everybody know that information, because I like sharing knowledge. I like saving lives. So this is Lois Banks coming to you from the Lois Banks Ministry. God bless you.